STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions.
You know, if you've not been under a rock, right? Which I know most of you have not been under a rock, but you know we like to use that line. You'll understand that one, Bitcoin is out there doing its thing, chugging along with no mishaps, no hacking, zero interruptions, 99% uptime is what I believe it is.
0.9.
I don't know about any other asset or entity or technology that has that kind of runtime. The second thing is that we know that there is a group of people classified as institutions here in America who need to purchase anything for it to be acceptable for the rest of us to purchase it. And in fact, they need to front run us into it for it to be acceptable for the rest of us to get into it. Unfortunately, they've not been able to do this on Bitcoin. So they came up with this idea that they need to have an ETF in order to be able to participate in Bitcoin. This brings us to the third entity in question. The Securities and Exchange Commission.
SEC.
Headed by the crooked Gensler.
GG.
Yes. But as we know, as these entities called institutions have been applying for this ETF so that they can indirectly own Bitcoin. Meanwhile, the asset is just out there, free, coasting on itself, unregulated, and does not belong to any one nation.
Designed for you to own it.
You could just buy the Bitcoin by yourself.
That's all.
Why are you needing another entity to approve an ETF before you can put your money into it? Anyway, Gary Gensler has definitely been on the opposite side of this
ETF
situation, rejecting each and every one of them.
Pew, pew.
Until now, we see BlackRock is knocking on the door. What will the SEC do? Double up.
Champion.
Let's jump into this thing, man. Let's talk about it. What is this ETF thing, and why is it that the SEC has been rejecting it? And why are we now concerned that BlackRock has now applied for an ETF?
Well, the largest asset holder in the globe,
Yeah.
this heart, is called BlackRock. Smell it, see it,
Smell
drink
it,
it.
see it.
BlackRock owns it.
Right?
But we all started our investment journey one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
And when you start, they teach you the basics of what a CD is. You know, if you're scared of money, being volatile, you go buy a CD and you just have it sitting there, give you something% back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's those that learn about the stock markets and mutual funds and bonds.
Yeah.
Bonds, right?
Bonds.
Paying to enslave yourself. Long story short, we won't talk about that. And then we have this special group of ETFs, right? I won't lie, I have some ETFs myself.
Hey man, listen. I think I have some ETFs too, but you can only operate within this structure that you were indoctrinated into.
Yeah,
Right.
it's called an exchange traded fund for a reason, right?
Yeah.
You are actually, like you said, in a box.
Yeah.
You are meant to be in that box. ETFs are designed for certain sectors of the market,
Yeah.
right? So if you're into blockchains, you can create an ETFs around blockchains, which means that it will consist of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Quantum, the slave makers,
Yeah, absolutely.
Stellar, and the rest of them.
Yeah.
And that is what they're trying to do here. There have been several ETFs that has been rejected, but an ETF allow you to have a general list of crypto.
A basket of
basket, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'm gonna pull up this page here. Of course, the page is not gonna pull up right now because I was just trying to be smooth. I was trying to be smooth. I was trying to be too smooth with it, man. Come on. Now, I'm gonna pull up this page here, and this page has a list, right, of all these ETFs, which so far the SEC has been constantly rejecting, right? And it seems there's over at least 10 ETFs that the SEC has been rejecting now.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So here we go. Let's start at the very top of this list, man. Because at this point in time, I would rather take investment advice from a rock than to take you from ARK Invest.
Come on, man. You gonna say BlackRock? A rock?
No, like a dead rock. You know?
Rock's actually not dead.
In fact, actually, I would rather take investment advice from BlackRock because it does not seem like you're losing like Cathy Woods at the end of the day, as evil as they are.
She's winning right now, though.
How is them ETFs that you were holding for Woods?
I lost so much money.
Okay. Is it recovered?
Nope. I'm
Okay.
still-
She's still losing for sure. That's for sure.
Jeez.
Then we have BITO rejected by the SEC. BTQ rejected by the SEC.
No, actually, Bito eventually got approved last year in 2020, late 2021.
Spot ETF or futures ETF?
Yeah, futures.
Yeah,
of
we're
course.
talking about spot ETF now. That's the one that
Yeah.
VanEck rejected by the SEC. Okay, which one is that one? Valkyrie
Yeah, Valkyrie.
rejected.
Yeah, that's
by
not
the
that big
SEC.
organization. Yeah.
You know, Global X rejected by the SEC.
The spot ETFs actually
Right.
got rejected,
Exactly.
but the futures are there. You know, we had Grayscale. That's what we should talk about.
Oh yes, Grayscale. What is the deal with Grayscale? Because it seems like that is something that people are concerned about.
Yeah, well, I mean, Grayscale actually just got blown apart after the old FTX debacle.
Yeah.
Grayscale happened right around the time when Bitcoin was reaching its highs.
Right.
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 And that is part of the concerns that people are having right now with BlackRock is that if Grayscale futures ETF got approved and that was used intentionally to destroy the price action, not the technology,
Yeah.
the price action of Bitcoin, which brought it down way down, I think to like 30 something K.
Right. Right.
Because basically that's what an ETF is. You just don't buy it. You can trade it.
Yeah.
You can use it to trade up or down, right? It could be either bullish or bearish.
Right.
Whoever is trading or whatever AI tool you're using to trade it. So the question is, if Grayscale was used to drop Bitcoin price action at the highs,
Yeah.
what is BlackRock trying to do all of a sudden when the SEC is basically destroying the entire market, and now BlackRock is coming right behind them when the price action of Bitcoin is around 25, 26K? Are they trying to further destroy it?
Well, I mean, I don't see a situation where they are trying to.
They still make money either way, bullish or bearish.
Yeah, because they make money either way, right? So I
Yep.
don't see a situation where they're trying to pump Bitcoin for their own benefit while they can wreck the price. I think at the same time, one of the things that you also have to look at when you're dealing with these people is just historical data. Historical data does not lie. It does not matter who it is. Whether it's technical analysis or human behavior. We know that these people, BlackRock especially, disingenuous people.
Oh, they're one of the most ingenious organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. Straight from the devil himself. If you look at ESG, for example, and you see the strategies that they're using there, we all already know that ESG is garbage. ESG is not real because the climate change garbage is garbage. Because these guys are still flying around in their private jets like no other, right?
How does a cigarette company have a better ESG?
He better ESG score than Tesla. Yeah, insane. So that is definitely one of those possibilities there. Now I'd like to move on here to our final point before we close this out. Right? When we look at this ETF that is coming from BlackRock, one of the interesting things that they said in this ETF is that in the event of a hard fork, if you will, right? If there is a hard fork, BlackRock will choose which chain to go with. It sounds to me like that is a scam because historically or traditionally, when we think of a hard fork, right? If you are on, say, if you have a token, and then there is a hard fork.
You want to explain what an hard fork is? To me?
Yes, I'm going to explain that right now.
Yeah.
You say you have a token, and then there is a hard fork. This means that the members of that community could not come to a consensus on a specific way of operation. The block size wars on Bitcoin is a good example. If you haven't watched that yet, I highly recommend looking up the block size wars on YouTube and watching that video. So you see how Bitcoin Cash came about, where there was this massive disagreement about the size of the blocks and things like that. Now, if you guys disagree, you can put this to a vote. And what happens is Bitcoin is going to split. Essentially, this is your hard fork. When it splits, there's now going to be two sorts of Bitcoins, aka, hence, Bitcoin Cash.
Yep.
Right.
Bitcoin Silver.
And then Bitcoin Silver.
Gold.
And then you have Bitcoin itself. I highly recommend that you go back and look at all of the various types of Bitcoins and out there and look at the performance.
Don't buy the wrong one.
I think the origin. I think the correct one will be extremely clear to you. Currently trading at $26,000, somewhere there. Now, when this hard fork happens, you're going to have tokens from each of these coins, right? And they carry on as expected. What does not happen is that when there is a hard fork, someone decides that we're not going to go that way. We're going to put your money in this other direction.
Centralized power.
Exactly.
One person, one institution makes the decision.
A centralized power that has a history of trying to enslave you and everyone. That is something you have to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. So in this ETF, BlackRock says, in the event where there is this hard fork on Bitcoin, they will choose the chain to proceed with. I think you can see many scenarios in which they can do like a switch and pull on you, right? One of them is also the fact that they would clearly misguide people to never understand Bitcoin, so that when this split happens, they can now justify going with whatever chain. Go ahead.
They've done it with FTX. It all kind of smells similar.
Yeah, it smells very similar to FTX.
Like, how does one person make a decision on your money when you would prefer that a community of people can make that decision, right? Which is why people are asking, is this an ETF or is this a trust? You know, because even with an ETF, you have to vote as a community for that change. Yeah. A trust, one person just makes that decision and that's it.
It's a rock pool. That's what it is. Because at the end of the day, you stay broke. You don't get the benefits of the decentralization that Bitcoin has to offer. You don't get the full control of your money.
You don't know. You don't. You might even pay a fee.
Yeah. You will pay fees. You will pay fees. It's not a question. You will pay fees. These people need to stay rich. Okay? So not having fees is not an option. So the question you really need to ask yourself, why are you investing?
Why now? Why would BlackRock want a spot ETF now? I ask that question because if Bitcoin is not threatening their current fiat system, they have either you adopt it or you fight it. This is not how you adopt it.
This is not.
You adopt it by just buying it. You don't need an ETF for that.
Yes, you can buy it directly. You can buy it directly on Cash App. You can buy it directly on
Strike,
right? You can buy it directly peer-to-peer as well. Hodl. What is the other one? Paxful,
yeah.
Right? And you can buy your Bitcoins directly there and you can store them yourself. Now, before we close this one out, here's what I'm going to say. We have seen Gary Gensler and the SEC reject over 10 ETFs. I'm fully expecting them to reject this one. Otherwise, it's discrimination. If they're going to approve this one, I think they need to go back and approve all the other ones first.
Oh, get in line, right?
Yeah, get in line.
You know how long it takes?
How long is that?
To get one approved? Over 90 days, almost actually 240 days.
Okay. I hope we don't wake up on Tuesday and BlackRock suddenly has a Bitcoin ETF. That will be clear signs of discrimination. Okay, that will be clear signs that these people are not in control and BlackRock has full control of this country. I think we can all understand that. So, with that being said then, Double, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
To be a champion, you must hold your Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Final thoughts.
Take control of your financial future, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's time for us to educate ourselves and stop playing this stupid game. Right? Until next time, please subscribe to the channel. Man, we're like 670 something, man. You know what I'm saying? We're coming for that 1,000 subs. It's a matter of time. Our foot is on the gas pedal. No breaks now. Follow us on Twitter, STAKK. Facebook. You know, I read an interesting statistic lately, man. 50% of the people actually less than 50% of the people on Facebook are millennials or less. So technically, it's only old people that are on Facebook.
That's not our audience.
Yes, that's not our audience. Those people don't understand Bitcoin. It is very difficult to teach Bitcoin to these people. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, man, please. I don't, it's whatever, But you know what time it is, man. Instagram, whatever. Those people are clowns. I need to update this graphic, ladies and gentlemen. Follow us on Spotify, STAKK, right?
Yes, sir.
Until next time, brazen out.